Hello, I'm Dani and I've been working with passing hats for about a year now, and I've been crocheting for several years. With passing hats, we use the round loom, which makes really wonderful, consistent hats. It's very easy to do. And today we're going to learn the purl stitch. When you use the purl stitch, as we've seen in previous videos, there's a rolled brim, there's a folded brim, and now this is going to be a purl stitch brim. What using the purl stitch does is it stops the brim of the hat from rolling up. And it also gives you this very nice ribbed pattern on the bottom of your hat. In order to do the purl stitch, to get this ribbing, you're going to do your regular knit stitch and then a purl stitch, a knit stitch and a purl stitch. I use a light colored loom and I just make a mark. It doesn't matter what it is, stars, circles, just anything, so that you are consistently doing the knit stitch on one peg and the purl stitch on the next peg. To save time, I'm going to show you on a smaller loom exactly how to do the knit and purl stitch. We have already learned in previous videos how to do our slip stitch and wrap the loom, so now we're going to begin working on the knit and purl stitch to get that nice ribbed brim that will not roll up. The most important thing is to be consistent. The peg you do a knit stitch on, you will always do a knit stitch on. The peg you do a purl stitch on, you will always do a purl stitch on. And this is only for the brim, not the entire hat. So our first stitch, we'll do your regular knit stitch. So we wrap, bring the bottom yarn over the top of the peg and push down. The next stitch we're doing is the purl stitch. We'll lift our yarn just a little bit. We'll take the piece that we would usually wrap and we're going to hold it below the two that are already on the peg. Take our hook, go under the two pieces of yarn on the peg. We'll twist our wrist to allow the hook to grab the yarn that we were holding below. Take our fingers, hold tightly to the tail of the yarn. We'll pull the loop over. The loop we've just created, we're putting back on the peg and we'll tighten. That is the purl stitch. Our next stitch will be a knit stitch. And then we're going to do a purl again. Again, we have our yarn, move it under the yarn that is already on the loom, take our hook, go beneath those loops, twist our wrist, pull up, grab with our fingers, lift the other loop off of the peg, put our new loop on the peg, and tighten. I'm just going to do that a few more times, alternating the knit with the purl. So we just did a knit stitch, and now we're going to do a purl stitch. And what I will do is I will do this all around the loom. It's a good idea, this loom is a little bit dark, but it's a very good idea to go ahead and mark your loom in case you set your work down, then you don't have to try to remember, oh, was the last stitch I did a knit or a purl? And a regular pencil writes very well on these looms and will just wipe right off when you're done. So just mark every other peg so that you know which one a knit goes on and which one a purl. Depending on the number of pegs on your loom, occasionally when you get back to where you started, you'll need to do either 2 knit stitches right next to each other or 2 purl stitches. Again, the most important part is to be consistent.